My husband had come in early in the morning. He had taken a rest and I needed him to, he was still dressing up. And they said, no, we are not sitting. We have prayed, we want to leave. I used the security guards to delay him. Thank you, Mahanu, who was head of our security. He ensured they tried to delay, and the next thing there was a procession to Bomas, and with this gentleman in the middle of that procession. That's how he got to Bomas. The rest, you know, and you saw. For me, that was divine intervention. Because he came home and he said, I saw somebody point a gun at me. And I think it was the security that pushed him down, and then they took him out. I tried to ring him when the fracas was taking place. Even before the fracas, we tried to reach him. We couldn't reach him because Rachel's friends were telling her, your father is being compromised. We hear he's delaying announcing the results. So when we tried to find out what is happening, we even called upon Sam Gituku. He happened to be airing Citizen Live. I asked him, I got his number, I called, I said, there's something happening at Bomas. Can you put it on air? And he said, I don't see anything happen. In less than a minute, he says, oh my God, I now can see what's happening. He says the only thing he could do for us was to refer us to some human rights institution, because there's nothing more he could do. But we thank him for whatever little that he did. So there was the fracas. I called in, I tried to reach him. I couldn't reach him. Eventually I got the aide to take the phone to anybody who was around him. The nearest person he found was Bishop Oginde. And I asked him, is my father alive? That's my husband alive? That's all I need to know. He said, yes, I can see he's alive. I say, you're a man of God, please speak the truth. He says, it is the truth. Your husband is alive. So that is how that day went. Of course, there's so much more to it. If you're interested, you'll have to look for me at another time. But I don't think it's a discussion we really want to engage in, because it was very rough for us as a family. Jonathan and Emmanuel were not in Nairobi, yet people kept on coming in and telling the aides, the brother is here, he wants to come in. But we thank the security that we had on that day. So this handsome gentleman of mine, I will not go into the story you were told about the first surgery. When that first surgery, the first diagnosis took place, there was discussion to have the surgery done in Nairobi. It was the doctors in Nairobi who had recommended that he could go to Germany. And they are the ones even who arranged for us, because they said, much as it can be done in Kenya, the problem is the equipment we have. The one in Germany is much better. So to fast forward, after his first surgery, his second surgery, then that's when he started becoming a bit weak. And eventually he was admitted on the 9th of December. When he went in on 9th December, he was not going for admission. He was going for a review for an MRI. Unfortunately, they said he needed to be admitted. He stayed in, and just when he was about to be discharged, he picks a hospital infection, so they can't discharge him. So the time that when we kept on trying to get, the doctors were willing to discharge him, but just when they're about to discharge him, when he's getting better, they find he has an infection in the chest or an infection here and there. So eventually he was discharged, and he was discharged to palliative care. At this point, he was not speaking. And at that point, a Right Honorable Speaker had visited him in the ICU. At that point of ICU, he would have movements. He would respond with his hands or his eyes. And also, we received a visit from the governor of Trans Nzoia, who also visited him. Again, that time, he was now really getting down. So, because he stayed in hospital for so long, he stayed in hospital the whole of December. His birthday is on the 22nd, as you can see. We celebrated his birthday there. Then on the New Year, Christmas, we were all together with the family. We celebrated Christmas with the children and his caregiving team in the hospital. But for the new year, the children needed to go and celebrate. And I told them, go ahead, leave me with your dad. So I slept with him in hospital from the 29th, 30th, 31st, and 1st. Because now we never gave it a chance. We always had shifts as children and as myself. We never left the chairman alone from the day of his first surgery. We always had shifts. And that's why I'm saying even in Germany, Emmanuel stayed the longest because he's self-employed. The rest of us would go for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and that cost a lot in terms of fare. So as I proceed, I just want to say that it's been very difficult to write this tribute. It's not easy to put it together, but I can't say so much. As I proceed, I am requesting Dr. Samson Oyugi to please come forward. I want to say that the strength I have is because of the visits, the number of visits we have received. Politicians seated here who are visiting. Right Honorable, you had no choice. You're my nephew. So you are always there, and we thank you for that. The MP for Kwanza, Ferdinand Wanyonyi, if you are here, thank you very much. Yes, thank you for allowing us to come. We were there on Thursday because my father-in-law insisted that he wanted his son to be taken to his home. Ferdinand, thank you very much. We are very grateful that you made it possible. And not only that, we refused to allow politics. We said we just wanted to mourn with my mother-in-law and the siblings, and we did mourn. Yes. And we had a good session with the pastors, the Church of Elimu, the bishop. We are very grateful. So after that, we proceeded home. So I must say, those visits, Mheshimiwa Busai, you were with us. You gave us a good reception. You've been with us. You even visited Nairobi. Also Ferdinand visited Nairobi. And many of you politicians came home. You came home, and I believed when religious people kept on saying, they would come and say, your husband, your father is going to give a testimony. He's going to give a testimony. He will recover from this illness and he'll give a testimony. Dr. Oyugi, you were one of the people who kept on saying, he will give a testimony. I think this is the testimony we're being talked about, because we were wondering, Rachel would ask, but if daddy is not talking, then how will he give the testimony? Let me tell you, that's what kept us driving, Your Excellency. That's what kept us going, because we were told he's going to give a testimony. Because of the position he had, we had to cut off many of our friends. We had to cut off a lot of the social life. So when we were told he was going to give a testimony, we didn't understand how he was going to do it. I have come to meet so many of you whom I had never met before. Some of you came home. I had never met you. Some of you couldn't get me home, and you called in, yes. And I'm very grateful to me. That's what has kept me strong. This gentleman was prepared. And my prayer is, please continue praying for me and my family's responsibility to keep us strong. I can't leave the stage without mentioning that, Your Excellency, you gave me, in this process of the chair, I acquired 2 daughters. One is Susan Nahomicha. I will not ask her to come forward because she spoke yesterday. Thank you very much. You sent her to me the day you learned that we had a problem with Professor Hainga also. And I also want to thank Professor Hainga. When my father-in-law was sick, I learned of it around 1 a.m. I called Professor Hainga, that was the other day, and I said to him, my father-in-law has a wound that is giving him trouble as a result of a road accident. You may not have known that when my father-in-law was coming to Nairobi, just before Chairman passed on, he had a road accident. I had not been informed he was coming, so when I called, just to call, and I'm told he's had a road accident in Eldoret. In that accident, 3 people lost their lives, but my father-in-law, I thank God for him. He came out well, but later it was discovered there was an injury on his leg, and apparently an infection set in. Professor Hainga is an expert on wounds, so when I called him, he called the hospital that night, and he has been following up on his case. And he assured me that he spoke to the surgeons of Techerenganyi, and he's comfortable with the quality of the doctors that were there. So thank you, my daughter. Social media gave me to her. It's the only thing social media has done to me, positive, to give me a daughter. The rest of the time they have bashed us, they have attacked us. But there's one thing Chairman said to us: ignore those people, just ignore them. They've killed him so many times. In fact, every time I get so many calls coming in, I know social media has killed my husband. So I just go cutting off and saying, he's okay, he's okay, he's okay. And everybody says, oh, thank God, we were actually inquiring, what is this we have read? So social media has really not been fair to us. Now that he has rested, I hope they will give us some peace. It has been so difficult. Initially, I didn't have it as rough because I used to trade under the name Mrs. Wanyonyi, because I found him as Wanyonyi and Company Advocates. But social media thought I was hiding the name Chebukati. Even, Mr. President, when I went for vetting, an MP walked in and said, during vetting, why are you not using your husband's name? Why are you hiding your name? I said, I'm not hiding my name. The man is called Wanyonyi Wafula Chebukati. So I am Mrs. Wanyonyi. So he was very surprised that I have, in fact, the chair of the committee made a joke and said, this lady is having 2 names of her husband. How many of you here, even the wives, even carry 1 name? I can see some of you smiling, Senator King. So I must say, he has protected us. He told us, wachana na social media, when you see any bad report, just look at it that this person is making money. Ignore. Wachana naye. Yeye anatengeneza pesa. Na anatengeneza pesa kukutumia. So if they want to continue making money, let them talk about the good things that I have had. The tributes that have come out. If there's